Hey, look who walked in the door. John Kirkland is here. John Kirkland, Ironridge. John, how are you, man?
Good. How you doing,
Good
Sully?
to talk to you. You know, if you don't recall John, John was with us. John was with us. Started back with us a few months ago, and he is with Ironridge Global Partners. They finance transactions for publicly traded companies, specifically small cap institutional and such. And boy, John, it's good to pull the covers back on these companies sometimes. For us, anyway, as investors, you're in this thing every day. And I loved one of your sayings a long time ago, and the fact that you said, and I was telling you this off the set, that you're not in the business of buying stock, you're in the business of selling stock, right?
That is where we get the money from.
And that's how we're all in the business of selling stock, though. At the end of the day, we are all in the business of selling stock.
I've heard that you want to buy low, sell high.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't quote me on
Who
that.
is also a Korean wrestler.
Balos are high.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's good.
Talk to us about what Ironridge does exactly. Give us an example of a company, not specifically, but just a company comes to you guys that are in need of some cash. Is that kind of how this works? They don't go to the banks. They go to guys like you.
Well, let's say you want to make tinfoil hats.
Excellent.
And you need some
Great
money
idea.
to do it.
I will. Glad you're here.
If you're publicly traded and you've got some liquidity and people care and we believe in the business model, in the case of tinfoil hats who couldn't,
Probably with me there.
we'll write you a check.
Yeah.
And then in exchange for stock.
It sounds like a fish tank kind of a thing.
Well, yeah, you guys are.
Shark
Yeah,
Tank,
well, they
not
are because
fish
people
tank.
pitch you deals all day long, don't
Right.
they?
Yeah, we get what we call deal flow, which is guys coming in the door, calling us on the phone, somebody's lawyer, somebody's stock transfer agent, somebody's accountant.
Russ has
says
had
he
somebody's
needs some
lawyer
money.
call him on the phone a couple times
That's a
here on the
different
program.
story.
And it was
they-
for money, too.
Yeah, absolutely. They got paid, by the way. But they come in and pitch their idea, either the inventor themselves. That's always kind of fun, I bet.
For tech companies, for bio companies in particular, a lot of times you get what we call the founder.
Yeah.
Who is the doctor or the PhD who invented the miracle drug, the miracle device, whatever it is, and they're almost always completely incompetent.
Well,
when
I
it
was just
comes
going
to
to say,
business.
I was going to say, you know,
Their
for my
presentations, yeah.
early days in venture capital and investment banking, the one guy that you don't want to invest money in is usually the brilliant guy that invented the cure for cancer because he has no idea how to run a business.
He has no idea how to turn the lights on in most cases.
Which is true.
What you want is the brilliant genius inventor and a business guy.
Right.
If those two guys are paired up, that's the one you want.
This is why, and I think this is good for entrepreneurs too, because a lot of folks don't realize that just because you invented it, you need to start taking on the philosophy that a piece of the pie is better than none of the pie. Because maybe only your 20% left is going to be worth way more than the 100% if you tried to run it yourself.
Bill Gates owns a dramatically smaller percentage of Microsoft today than he did the day he founded it, and it's worth a whole lot more money.
Yeah, because he was good at one thing, and other guys were like CEOs are good at CEO things, and C-level.
Delegate responsibly.
Well, you have to be able to. It's a big picture. It's sort of a big picture vision, and usually the guys that are micromanaging the invention or the technology don't have that capability, right?
It's more than capability. It's their baby, and they just can't let it go.
Oh, so the emotional part of it gets in
yeah.
their way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. Hey, when we come back from the break, John's going to take us through sort of how the financing side of things work, and then also kind of take a top-down look at why we don't just have to invest in the big board companies. In other words, there's other companies to invest in other than Apple. There's other companies to invest in other than Qualcomm. And
Russ's aluminum hats.
Russ'sAluminumHats.com.org.
With my partner, Bob Sully
No,
Sullivan.
no,
He's a business guy.
Not a chance.
Going to pitch your
Chance in hell
idea.
I'll be. In fact, I want to make sure I'm not, because I'm sure there will be. Oh, you mean you can print stock and sell it?
I'm going to go
Somebody
make
give
you-
me a printer.
I'm going to make you a custom hat right now.
Yeah, Big Biz Show. BigBizShow.com. John Kirkland joins us. You can visit his website, by the way, by going to ironridgeglobal.com. Stand by. Clear Channel Media, Armed Forces Radio, Biz TV, Biz Talk Radio. John, you're one of the founders of the company, correct? Yeah. What got you into the business, first of all?
Well, I was over 20 plus years as a corporate securities lawyer, and I found that the lawyers do all the work and the investors make all the money.
Yeah.
So I decided to become an investor.
So you thought, okay, I'm going to start investing. Talk about the sectors. You know, I'm always hearing about oil and gas. I'm always hearing about technology. We don't hear about biotech at all anymore. Is there any biotech deals coming your way?
Probably 2 out of 3 of our deals are biopharma deals.
Oh, they are
life
so.
science related.
So biopharma,
Absolutely.
but not biotech. Biopharma meaning drug related?
Yeah, well, we call it any kind of life science.
Okay.
Device, what we would call medical device or biotech.
Okay.
Are
So you're saying 2 out of every 3 deals now?
yeah,
It's interesting because in the mainstream media, all we're hearing about is clean technology and oil and gas, and they're not the darlings of the media like they were a few years
clean
back.
tech is super hot. You know, and we've done a couple of oil and gas deals.
Yeah.
But a bread and butter deal is a company that has huge growth potential and is constantly spending money, and that just reeks of biotech.
Yeah, of course. And now, and your path to liquidity doesn't necessarily. You're not buying an equity position where if something happens, you guys are, these are publicly traded, so you're basically buying stock from these guys. So your path to liquidity is immediate, and the better they do, the better you guys do.
Well, we want, in a perfect world, we put in some money and it allows them to do something. They can buy more inventory. They can now get into more grocery stores. If they're retail, they can complete the FDA approval. If it's a biotech company, and now their stock is worth a lot more money, and so we sell it for more.
Buy low, sell high.
Hence the buy low, sell high. John, with respect to all these companies, is it getting easier these days? Because obviously we saw the heyday of this economy back in 2006, 2007. It's been a very rough 6 years for a lot of folks. Is it getting any easier for these companies? Are you seeing better balance sheets? Are you seeing better longevity out of these companies?
No, we're not.
How come?
It seems like it's getting just harder, if anything.
Tell us why. That's interesting.
Well, I guess the macroeconomic answer is that the people with the money are too afraid to spend it. Everything in investing is fear and greed. And when greed overwhelms fear, the checks start flowing like water. And when it's in fear mode, then there's a giant pile of money that nobody wants to spend. And
Yeah,
so
we've been
that
but
pile
it's
of
there.
money is growing. Oh yeah, the pile of money is always there, and it's bigger now than ever because they don't want to spend it.
Right.
So there's money on the sidelines, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And the money on the sidelines for entrepreneurial activity is there, but it's tighter than it normally. What's it going to take to shake the tree again?
If you're a big institution or a family office or a billionaire, then small cap, micro cap is a tiny, tiny portion of your portfolio.
Right.
It's the high risk portion. It's the snake eyes on the crap table.
Right.
You bet that with maybe 5% of your total assets.
But you do it just to do it.
So it's only on the margins, and so when you're going to retract back and not want to invest, it's the first thing that goes.
go ahead. You have a question?
No, I was just saying it's the fun money. The kind of
Well, right.
I can afford to lose that, and now
It's
I can't.
absolutely.
So bring it back.
Let's talk. In fact, let's look at it, guys. Let's look at a chart of the S&P here real quick, because I want to compare it to what John does. And if you look at the S&P as it's traded recently, we hit all new highs ever since June, and we're trading above the 15-day moving average, trading above the 50-day moving average. If you look at the stochastic oscillator, which is an indicator that'll tell you if something's overbought or oversold, you can see it on your television screen. For our radio audience, if you go to bigcharts.com or stockcharts.com, it'll just tell you if we're fairly valued. Interesting, the S&P is fairly valued here. John, when you see a chart like this, does this have any relationship to small cap companies whatsoever?
It does, because the S&P is a pretend index. The S&P changes. The S&P, the mix of companies that exist today
Are not the same as it- right.
not the same as it was 10 years ago or
Okay.
50 years ago.
Okay.
And so where do the new companies come from? They're all micro caps and small caps that done good and made it big.
That drift up to the Amex or drift up
Wow.
to the S&P or drift up to the NASDAQ small cap and
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
The key, if you look at the stock market as a whole, the biggest single driver is small caps, and the biggest driver of small caps is micro caps. And that's been true every single year since 1933.
But it's also the riskiest, and that's why people are afraid of it. But
it's
the
high risk, high reward.
But
so
the
you're taking
regulation,
huge risk.
but the regulation on small caps is significantly higher than it was 10 years ago and 15 years ago.
You're basically subject to the exact same rules as Google.
Right.
If you're a small cap, you get none of the access to capital. You
Right.
have none of the benefits, but you're subject to all the filing requirements.
So
it's
if
the
they're
worst of both worlds.
so we're not finding any like with the China kind of debacle 2 years ago. We're not seeing any of those paper companies anymore. Or
China was just straight up fraud. And
Yeah.
the auditors just didn't do their job.
Jeez, really?
And so, what do you do when the auditors don't do their job? You put in more requirements for more auditors. It's ridiculous.
So what about now? What about U.S. companies that are trading on these smaller exchanges? For the most part, since they have to go through the same rigorous accounting standards and reporting standards, are you more comfortable as an investor with that whole market as a whole than you were, say, 15 years ago?
The problem with a small company is almost never the numbers. The problem is that what will they come to pass for the future? You're not betting on today's numbers, because today's numbers are almost always atrocious. They're always losing money. I mean, they talk about their financials in terms of burn rate, which is not how much money you're making a month. It's how much money
you're
are you
spending
losing
a month. Right,
Wow.
yeah, right. So on the good side, they're safer. On the bad side, it's still risky, but the reward's unbelievable too.
You tend to know more what you're getting into now than you used to, so you at least know what the numbers are. But what you're really betting on is the story. Do you believe that this thing has a future? Are tinfoil hats the next big thing?
Are tinfoil hats the next big thing, Russ?
You're damn right.
We'll see what happens. John, thank you so much. I appreciate it. John Kirkland. He's going to be sort of our small cap expert moving forward here. And, of course, their website, ironridgeglobal.com, and his bio. And some of his hits here on Big Biz Show are right
I
there.
think we should weed out some of the weird ones and let them come to us first, pitch the idea like a Shark Tank.
You want
and if
to
we
weed them
see
out?
kind of a good one. Well, yeah, send it over to the big boys.
Why would they need us to do
Just
that?
how fun would that be?
Just because you
some of
wanted
the
to-
weird ideas that people have. I bet you get people that take it all the way to you and say, "What do you think of this?" You're just like, "Dude, that is so stupid."
9 out of 10 people pitch us tinfoil hats.
Yeah,
We only
oh.
get the one good idea.
What are you saying?
I think, thank you, John. I appreciate it.